to order. Well, I guess before I call it to order, let's make sure we have a quorum present. Mike, I know you're there. I've seen you show up on my video.
I'm here.
Okay. Is Gloria there?
I'm here.
Oh, there. Hi, Gloria. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Jesse Olivares? Did Jesse join in?
Yes, he
Yes,
did.
he's muted.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? There you go.
Yep, there you are. Okay.
No
Hey,
picture.
Jesse. No pic. Okay. Gail, are you there?
Hello, I'm here. I don't have a
Okay.
camera on this computer, but I'm here.
Okay. All right. Now, is there anybody else? Because I think that's all
Correct.
that are sitting at this time, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. Should be
Okay.
5 total.
So we have all right, we've got a quorum present. So let me call the meeting to order. It is, by my watch, about 5:32 p.m. on whatever day it is, August the 10th, 2020. This is the regular meeting of the Parks Commission. We're holding the meeting today by a Zoom meeting, and the public has been invited on the agenda to participate and given the website through which they can do that. Let me ask about staff present. Jason, I see you. What other staff is present today?
The other staff that's present, we have our Parks and Rec Administrative Assistant Jessica Welsh here, as well as I believe Jamie is supposed to be jumping online as soon as she can.
Okay. Thomas, you were there, I saw.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Is Mike around today?
I believe he'll be joining us as soon as he gets a moment. I don't think he's on yet, though.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. They can jump in whenever they're whenever they're ready to. Well, with that,
Now.
Oh, hey, there's Jamie.
Yeah, I could see and hear y'all the whole time, but I just now figured out how to get me on it too. Hey guys.
okay. Hi, Jenny. I can't see you. But we'll go ahead and begin. Did everyone, I'm assuming everybody has the agenda. Does anybody have any comments or corrections to be made to the agenda before we begin? Well, hearing none, then I'll go ahead and move into citizen communication and ask if there are any members of the public that have joined the panel online and would wish to speak to the commission.
There are no members of the public.
Okay. Thanks. James, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. I won't put you down too. Okay. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. We tried valiantly last time to approve the June 29th minutes, but just weren't able to get it together. So we've got those tonight. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to see them. They were attached in that packet that Jason sent around. And that made it pretty easy, Jason. I like the way that worked this time. So, so at any rate, are there any questions or corrections to the June 29th, 2020 meeting minutes? I have a couple of questions or a couple of corrections to those minutes. I just noticed on page 2, under approval of minutes, where it has the ayes, it says Vice President Keeling, Vice Chairman Mike Rivera. I think it's Chairman instead of Vice President. there. But that, I don't know if you can see that. Jason, do you see that?
Yes, sir, we've got it.
Okay. And then on page 3 in paragraph 4 at the top, the next to the last line, it says, stated that the plan would 6 to 8 months to complete. I think it just says, needs to say would take 6 to 8 months to complete.
Okay.
All right. Any other corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes as corrected?
I'll make the motion. Accept the minutes as corrected.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes as corrected. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, those minutes are approved as corrected. Let's take up the minutes from the July 27th meeting. I had one I did one correction on that one, Jason, and it's at the top, and it says the meeting was called to order in the council chambers. I guess we should say it was called together online or on Zoom or whatever you say. I'm not sure what you say there, but
Okay. Yeah, we'll get that changed.
okay. That was the only thing I saw. Any other additions or corrections to the July 27th meeting minutes? Okay, if not, we'll entertain a motion to approve those as corrected.
Motion.
You want Carrie to second the motion? Okay, motion and second by Jesse. There's Gloria on the motion and Jesse on the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are corrected, or those are approved as corrected also. That brings us to other business, and I think on the agenda we've got the first item there is to discuss again the proposed bylaw changes and approve a resolution adopting those bylaws. The resolution is in the packet that was available to download. We had a pretty good discussion about the bylaw changes last week. I came away feeling like everyone had a good idea about what the changes were, but I want to make sure that no one has had questions or thoughts come up since we did that they'd like to talk about or discuss, or now having read through them, if they had other thoughts about anything in the bylaws. So I'll just open the floor for any comments from the commission about the proposed bylaws that are before us today. Thomas, I had one comment that I think we ought to take a look at. In section 3.2, relating to special meetings, it says special meetings of the commission may be called by the chair, comma, by the Parks and Recreation Director.
Yes, sir, there's a typo there. That comma should be replaced with the word or.
Okay. I thought it was kind of significant whether it was and or, but I thought it was or also.
You're right.
Okay.
In fact, if we could make that correction before it gets approved,
Right.
then we won't have to change that later.
All right, well then why don't I ask the commission for a motion to make that change? And if we can adopt that motion, get it changed, and then if there are any others, we can get those taken care of and we can approve the resolution. Is there a motion to change 3.2 by adding the word "or" after the word "chair"?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. Motion made, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mike Rivera seconds the motion. Any other discussion about this? Okay, all in favor of making the change, then please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion
Thank you.
passes, and we'll revise that section 3.2 of the bylaws in that fashion. Okay, now I think before the commission is the adoption of the resolution approving the bylaws, which at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Thomas, but these will go to city council ultimately to be approved. Is that correct?
That's correct. They require council approval, and Mr. Alfaro has scheduled that approval to take place at the council meeting next week on August 18th.
Okay. Do you think that some of the commission ought to try to be there at that meeting?
That meeting will be virtual like this one,
Uh-huh.
and if you would like to attend virtually, you're welcome to do so. The information will be in the posted notice for the city council meeting. That will be on the city's public portal by the end of this week.
All right, well, let me then just invite any commission members that want to attend, please, to do that, and realizing it'll be a Zoom meeting, it'll be easy enough to do if you want to do it.
Can I interject really quickly while we have Thomas on
Yeah.
here? Thomas, will that be, will they need to speak during citizen comment, or will this be a public hearing?
There will not be a public hearing on this item. And so if they would like to speak to this issue, then you're right. The citizen communication part of the meeting at the beginning of the meeting is where they should address council if they would like to do so.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, good point, Jason, thanks.
Mhm.
All right, well, Thomas, do you want to read that resolution, or do you want me to read it, or do you want, or is it sufficient just to have someone put the resolution before the meeting referencing
It's
it?
sufficient just to simply move the resolution.
Okay,
In
do
our
I hear
council
a
meeting,
motion?
I'm sorry, I was just going to further explanation. At our council meeting, we frequently read them out loud, but that's because of language in the city code that relates to city council only.
Okay. Well, does anyone wish to move to put the resolution before the meeting for approval? Mike or Gloria, somebody you want to do that?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to read the resolution before the meeting.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Mike. Second?
I'll second it, Lee.
All right, thanks you. Thanks, Jesse. All right, there's no further discussion. I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of adoption of the resolution, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, well, the revised bylaws have now been adopted by us. I guess we'll see if council will go for them. I expect they will. Next item of business is discussion of current parks and recreation projects. I know that I think there was some discussion at the last meeting about updates on certain things. I don't recall. I look and see. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Jason, I think this is your item here.
Sure thing. Well, good evening, Commission, and thank you for approving that resolution. We'll go ahead and get that moving forward with City Council. So thank you all very much for the support. One of the items that came up during our last discussion was the soccer field project. And so what we wanted to do was just give you a more of a generic item, so we could actually discuss some of the larger projects, if you will, that the department's currently undertaking. So we've got about 4 or 5 of them listed out here for you, that we'll briefly run through. Please feel free to stop me at any point if you have any questions. Jamie, I know you're on, so if there's anything that you'd like to add to any of these items afterwards, I mean, please feel free. So one of the first ones is the duck pond. I'll go ahead and start there. We actually had a design meeting that's going to be set up with Brent Luck. So Luck is the vendor or the contractor that we have that's facilitating all of this. So that they're looking at construction documents, design development, et cetera, et cetera. They were the ones who presented to council with Danielle as well. But nonetheless, we have a design meeting set up with them for next week, just to go over the project. Currently, where they're at in the process is they've already finished up the design development, but they're working on the construction documents right now. They're supposed to have those completed by September 25th for us. The idea behind the September 25th deadline, I can almost assure you, was the fact that the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department grant that would be submitted for this project has historically been due on October the 1st. But because of COVID, that has changed to November. And so they pushed that back an entire month. And so, so I'm assuming that's probably why they had that September 25th deadline in there. So that's what we're doing currently, is just reviewing grant opportunities. We've already reached out to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Just kind of have already started those conversations with them about this particular project. Also looking at some alternative, grant opportunities potentially for this. So that's where staff is at as far as the duck pond is concerned. Jamie or commission, is there anything that you'd like to add or ask on this project? Okay.
Jason,
Well, yes.
do you have a price tag on the project?
The duck pond was estimated, the project that city council chose was 1.2 million and some change. I don't know the specific amount, but I know it was 1.2 million. And so that grant funding, Commissioner, is there's multiple ones, but one we're looking at is a 50-50 reimbursement through TPWD, up to about $750,000. So in essence, it would cover half the project, a little bit more.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So if there's no other further questions on that, I'll continue to move forward. The big one is the soccer field complex. I know that one was specifically asked last time. We had a slight delay on that project. We been working with the Texas Historical Commission to make sure that we have an antiquity study completed. That one took a little bit longer than anticipated. But nonetheless, all the paperwork has been completed with Texas Historical Commission and Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. So everything is finally done as far as the paperwork goes. So what has happened with our contractor is last week they started installing the silt fence. They actually came back out and kind of repaired a few areas that needed to be addressed. And so they've been doing some topo surveys for us, just getting some last minute items, if you will, pushed into engineering and public works. So this week, actually, well, today, they started scraping the field out there. And so the dirt work or the dirt cutting actually started today. I've been out to the site twice, once this morning and once probably about an hour and a half ago. And they're making some decent ground. The contractor said that they should be pretty much wrapped up with that part of the project by Thursday or Friday at the latest of this week. And then next week, they're looking at moving into the irrigation, installing the irrigation lines and the structure, if you will. In addition to that, we have been working with our electrician to provide electrical out there. And so we've been working with them over the last couple of weeks, just trying to get all the, I's dotted and T's crossed, if you will. So they should be out hopefully within the next week or so, getting our line set and all the electricity ran to the meter for the irrigation system itself. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're still looking at a 40-day project. So, 40 days from today, basically. We're still planning on having the grass in place, by the first part of September, which in talks with our superintendents, both of them, that's kind of that deadline that we need to hit. So we're really, really pushing the contractor on that. Make sure we get some good grass established before we open it up to the public in February, March, or with VYSO, I'm sorry. So that's where we're at with the soccer field. Anybody have any questions for me?
I got two questions. Number one, you just stated that you're gonna have 6 soccer fields?
Yes, sir. We'll have 6 soccer fields on the 12 acres that are being constructed.
Question number 2, are they gonna be any light on the fields or not?
Currently, we don't have any permanent lighting. We're working with VYSO for them to bring in like floodlights, if you will, or portable lights, so that way they can practice. But if you're asking about for the public in the future, no, sir, as of right now, we do not have any lights.
Bleachers?
That's part of phase 2 that we're working on. So all the amenities, if you will, are that's part of that phase. So we definitely want to get that in before February, March timeframe. Yes, sir.
And I'm going to interrupt here. That's actually something that we've talked about with VYSO as well. Their plan is, because they already have their existing soccer fields out in the county field at the airport. So their plan is to basically bring all the equipment and supplies that they have over there and just transfer it to the property there in Riverside Park. So my understanding is that they're going to be providing their portable lights. They'll have trailer style restrooms, stands, goals, that kind of stuff. Now, most of it's going to be VYSO use, but the stands and the goals would remain there for public use as well.
Thanks, Tim.
And there is, just to kind of expand on that, there is additional phases that we're looking at, such as adding some additional sidewalks and just some other smaller amenities like that. But yes, sir, that is part of the plan. Any other questions on the soccer field? No? Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a quick breather and I'm going to pass the mic over to Jamie. But the next item that we have up is the cemetery mapping with Omega Mapping. Jamie, can you expand on this project?
Okay, so with this project, we had Omega come out and they went ahead and used their machine to go over the whole property. They found a lot of unmarked graves. So they've now used that data to kind of compile maps showing where there are graves, marked and unmarked. They've now produced maps for us that we can then take those maps to the cemetery and validate, basically compare them into the headstones that are physically there to compare names, dates, those kind of things. So we have 3 of the maps completely completed, and they've been sent back to Omega for them to then compare against the data that we have from old records. The remaining maps, because I believe there was 11 sections total, so 3 of them have been completed. The other maps have all been sent to us last Monday or Tuesday, and then we got them back from our GIS department so that we can get the big maps like blown up, printed from them. So we got those back Friday, and then Jeff with the Historical Preservation Society, he has his volunteers kind of delegate, or he's delegated certain maps to certain volunteers, and they're now going through and validating them. So he'll be at our office to pick up the maps later this week. He's on vacation right now, but they will start validating those remaining maps later this week. It'll probably take them about a month to complete.
Jamie, what will they be doing to them? Where they're going to be trying to cross-reference the existing, information from headstones and stuff with the remains and stuff that they've noted on the maps?
So they're going to be validating the map. So they're basically going to be taking the maps that Omega has produced for us so far that just shows where the graves are. The ones that they knew who they belonged to, they went ahead and labeled on those maps. But there are quite a few of them that also are just unmarked. So these volunteers are now taking the maps and physically comparing them to make sure that what has been produced so far is accurate. So yes, they're looking at names on the gravestones and like the placement of them on the map, as well as their birth and death dates. And then there's even like a little like asterisk if they were a member of the military. So those are the items that they're looking at. And then once we get those, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Once we get those back from the volunteers, then we send the ones that have been validated back to Omega. And then that's when Omega will start comparing those with old data, old records that we have to try to fill in the holes and try to give us a more completed, survey of where everybody lies.
Okay. How did Omega do its mapping? Did it do it through some technology, or did they do it by just on the ground? How did they do their work?
So they had a machine that they pretty much ran over the whole area, kind of like a mower would, and it was ground piercing radar.
Okay.
I don't know all the specifics behind the technology, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay.
And
So
I think,
they did.
go ahead, Lee.
No, so I just wasn't sure what they had done, but so they used a kind of a high tech process to identify what's really there, and then we're just trying to make like you said, validate what exists on the ground and to tie that back to what they found, and then they'll try to find the missing, or they'll try to correct the missing data, I guess, after we do all that.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, all right.
If I'm not mistaken, a part of the reason behind this was that we were having issues, I guess, Jamie, with mapping. I mean, we thought certain locations were filled when they weren't, or vice versa. Is that correct, Jamie?
Yes, and that's an area that we don't want to have mistakes. The
Right.
records we have, this was not always our cemetery, it was one we inherited. And the records we got were not necessarily clear, and they weren't exactly all there. So we've just kind of pieced things together as best we could. But we have had some people buried here in the last year that it was a little scramble right before, like once the burial permit was issued, and then they were actually out there to dig the hole, because all of a sudden you ran into a box that we didn't think was supposed to be there. So again, this is something where you don't want mistakes. So we're just trying to do everything we can to make the records we have as complete as possible.
Jamie, what all cemetery properties did the mapping include? Did it use everything over there in Evergreen? Is that what it did?
Yes, sir. It'll
on
be
both
all the
sides
sections as part of Evergreen Cemetery.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know if this has any application or not, but isn't Memorial Park also an old cemetery downtown? You know, where the locomotive used to be.
I honestly don't know if I can answer that one.
We'll have to
My
check into it.
understanding, Lee, that's the old Confederate cemetery, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what they called it at one time, but I think it was the cemetery for a while. I'm just wondering, it might be, that's an interesting to know about, and I don't know whether it would be an interesting historical project to survey that property over there, that one square block over there by by the Power Street warehouse.
Old Mitchell. The old Mitchell School.
Right, across the street from Mitchell. That's right. Interesting. All right. Great. All right. Well, Jason, do you have more?
Yes, sir. two more quick updates for you, and then we can continue to move on. Jamie, I wanted to add this as well. Maybe you can add something to it, but just so y'all know, we are working with TPWD on some future potential recreational programs. And so what we're doing is we're working with them to provide a deer survey for Riverside Park for a potential youth and hunters education program. So we are going to be doing some work with TPWD as far as that's concerned, doing some night spotting throughout the next month or so. In addition to this, it's also a good idea for us to have this so we have a better idea of what our deer population looks like in Riverside Park. Also, you know, with our hogs, we have a lot of issues with hogs over at the golf course. And so this kind of opens up the door for, again, some added programs that could potentially be used on a recreation side down the road. So so that's a recreation, you know, project that we're working on currently. And then the last but not least is our Parks Master Plan. I think I've talked about this one plenty. I'm sure y'all are tired of hearing me talk about Parks Master Plans, but we'll be doing this for quite some time. So to give you a quick update on that, we received 9 proposals from consulting firms. We've narrowed it down to 3 that are pretty much all in Texas, all Texas-based at least, and really good firms. What the idea is, we're going to have an interview with them next Thursday and next Friday to go over basically their proposal. Staff submitted some questions to them so they could be ready for those questions. But we are looking to try to have some kind of an answer by, you know, next Friday or that following Monday, Tuesday at the latest. So, you know, it's not public right now, so I don't want to blurt those 3 names out right now and those firms, but I think either way that we go with any of those firms, we're going to be pretty well off. I think those are 3 really good firms. Yeah, so I look forward to that. So the next process is again to have an interview with them next Thursday or Friday, make a final selection, discuss that, and then move forward with you know, presenting to council and working up a contract with them, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, look forward to having this going here within the next month or 2. I really think the Parks Master Plan is going to help us with our next item in particular. I know there's going to be a lot that we're going to be looking at the commission for when it comes to, you know, helping with the public, you know, pushing the survey, getting a lot of community feedback. And so, you know, I think the Parks Master Plan is going to help identify some future items, as well as this item right here, the dog park, the next item. So I'm excited about getting that actually on paper and trying to figure out a nice plan for us to move forward with trying to obtain some of these amenities or additional, you know, parkland. So that's all the updates that I have, Lee and Commission. So again, if you have any questions, feel free.
Anybody have more questions for Jason? Jason, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good job on your first big report, I guess. For the at least regular one. All right. The last item on other business is discuss the dog park. Did anybody have a particular question, thought, or point they wanted to bring and discuss about the dog park? As Jason said a second ago, it's likely that the master plan, the Parks Master Plan, is certainly going to take this as one of its elements is going to be the development of this particular amenity. I think that's something people want to see, and certainly it's something that people continually ask about. But were there any particular comments from Commission about that they'd like to bring up or discuss any further?
No, nothing in particular. It's hard when I get asked all the time, about the dog park, and I don't have an answer to give them, and so I'm just like, I don't know, and they're like, but you're on the committee. I'm like, I know.
You can,
That's something.
Gloria, you can tell them we're on the agenda at least. I think it makes, I do think it's true that, you know, with the planning process, you know, that's, it's going to be taken up in an orderly fashion, and it'll be one of the, I'm sure it's going to be one of the priority areas that's going to be looked at, but for the same reason that people keep asking about
Mhm.
it. And so I don't know what to tell them either, but I think I'm going to tell them that it is on the radar, and it's something that's going to be taken up as part of the planning process, which I'm excited for all of us. I think we're gonna enjoy that planning process as we get into that. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I think we're all going to learn a lot about our park system, and I think we're all have an opportunity to really give some valuable guidance to the direction this thing takes. So there's that. Any other thoughts or this point?
This is Gail. I just wanted to share that anytime I run into anybody and we talk dog park, everyone is interested in a water feature. Without a water feature where the current location is, it just seems almost impossible to run a dog out there just because of the Texas heat. So most dog owners that I know go to Pebble Beach, which is our all natural dog park. And I know previous administration had talked about just making Pebble Beach or Grover's Bend an off-leash area, and boom, a dog park, maybe in essence. So something to consider. And that's all I had. It's just a water feature, just because it's hot in Texas. So
Okay.
that's all I've got.
Good thought.
Good point.
Gail, do you have an unauthorized lobbyist in there with you? I thought I heard some whimpering.
Yeah, I think I've got some kids in my front yard. So my dog. There we go.
There they are. There they are. Okay. All right. Anything else?
She barks on cue.
I think we found another helper to bring in some some suggestions during our Parks Master Planning process.
There you go. There you go. All right. Okay. I think that's got us through other business. If no one has anything more, let me ask the commission for future agenda items that anybody would like to see brought up or talked about on the agenda going forward.
Great presentation.
I was just wondering, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had talked to Jason, and it was
Out.
passed. I was brought up at the city council, and it was turned down. As you know, that the swimming pool that we had there by the community center was demolished, and they put splash pad. To my knowledge, the swimming pool was named the Gary T. Moses Swimming Pool. My question is, since this is no longer there, can the splash pad be named the Gary T. Moses splash pad? We'll put that on the agenda, maybe discussion.
So I had a hard time hearing all that. I think Mike, you said since the campus over there is not being used any longer, it's
No, the swimming pool was torn down,
right.
and it was called the Gary T. Moses swimming pool, right? And
Right.
it was replaced by a splash pad. And my question is, since the area there was already named after Gary, can splash pad be named Gary T. Moses?
I see what you're saying. So you'd like to see the discussion about naming the splash pad that doesn't have a name at all, right?
They don't have a name, no.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something we can ask staff to take a look and see if that's something that's within our authority or a suggestion we might make, and take the council to have council to consider doing something like that. So if we could maybe put that on for the future, that would be something we could get a little bit of information on.
Okay,
Jason.
got it.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, sir, Lee. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jesse. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. I was wondering, through all the ideas, everything we're doing with the parks here, is any thought or maybe some consideration or some section of the parks that could be held maybe as a dedication to our veterans that we have in our community and surrounding area? Something of a thought where vets can come in there and be part of, like close to that ballpark. I think it's called Whitman Park or something like that. And just wondering if there was any consideration of that.
We've got Patriot
Well, I mean,
at Sac Lake.
Well, if I could, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think if we help identify that in the parks master plan and, tell the consultants that this is something that we want, we do plan on having 2 conceptual renderings included with this plan. And so one of them would be, let's just say Ethel Lee, and the other one, let's just say Riverside. And so we can look at, potentially putting that into that conceptual render for Riverside Park. And then that way we can get a 1,000-foot view, if you will, of what that could potentially look like. Or maybe even other areas that we haven't identified yet that could be a better location. I'm not sure, but that's just a suggestion. I think if we have that in there, we have it as a complete, book, if you will, and identified. But just tossing that out there.
Oh, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. I run across a lot of elderly people. They really love the way Riverside look when they drive by there and they go through it. And some of the things that have come up is like, did they have anything that represents vets, within that area? But it's just a thought, just a food of thought,
Okay. It's a good thought. I mean, it's something that, having as a planning process, asking them to give some thought to, or having the community, take a look at what thoughts they may have towards, creating sort of recognition for veterans in Riverside Park. I mean, I think that's certainly something that could be considered by the planning process. I think it's a good idea, Jesse.
Thank
you. Any other thoughts for item F today? Okay, that's our agenda for the day. If anyone has a motion to adjourn, we can do that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second. Okay, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a good week, and we will see you next month.
Thank
Yeah, it
you.
won't be in 2 weeks.
It won't be in 2 weeks. Right. Okay.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.